meant's need for more affordable housing in Massachusetts. This health and economic crisis has only amplified our housing crisis, as we've seen COVID disproportionately impact low-income households and communities of color. In October, DHCD announced the Eviction Diversion Initiative to prevent as many evictions as possible. And while we have not seen eviction rates skyrocket, there are thousands of families who will continue to struggle to pay rent or keep up with overdue bills and come to us for relief. I am deeply grateful for the state and federal funds we are able to use to keep folks housed throughout this crisis. It is not a long-term solution. The solution is more housing and much more affordable housing to support our workforce, our families, our seniors, and our most vulnerable communities. Secretary Kennealy has worked tirelessly over the past 2 years to get our housing choice legislation across the finish line. So we can do just that, build more housing. And now I want to invite Secretary Kennealy to say a few words before we officially announce our awards.
Well, thank you, Undersecretary Maddox, for that introduction. It's great to be with you all today. Great to be with City Manager Tom Ambrosino from Chelsea, Assistant Town Manager Chris Remble from Great Barrington. Always great to see two of our great development partners, Dave Turgorth and Emilio Dorsley from Urban Edge. I'm just so pleased we found a way to celebrate, because we don't celebrate enough these days, and it's great to have this milestone to talk about. I'm so grateful to Kate Racer and her team, who have been working throughout the crisis to keep the future pipeline of projects built, but also ensure that developers were moving forward on projects that were in construction or waiting to close. I'm just so grateful to Jennifer and Kate and their teams, the teams of our quasi-agencies, for keeping the engine going here, because as Jennifer said, that this work is so essential in all times, but perhaps particularly essential now. I always say in our team, we were using the term housing crisis long before we ever heard of COVID-19. These are longstanding problems, and we simply need a lot more housing. In that regard, I thought I might hit some highlights over the last few months around our housing agenda. As folks probably know, since 2015, we've, as an administration, invested $1.4 billion in affordable housing production. It's led to 20,000 units, about 18,000 of which are affordable. And more recently, to put a finer point on that, I'll highlight four things. One, of course, is the housing choice legislation as part of the economic development bill. So grateful to have that done. Grateful to anybody on this call and everybody who was instrumental in advocating for that one. It took 3 years, and very grateful for the legislature for getting this one over the finish line. The reason we advocated so hard for this for so long is that we think it's going to be foundational in its change and really set a much better environment to produce a lot more housing across the state. We're getting information about housing choice out in real time here. I did a webinar today with the MMA. I've got one tomorrow with NIOP. There's additional guidance on our website at mass.gov/housing choice. So I think it's this one has real potential, even very, very recently now, in upcoming days, to see if cities and towns put this to work. Secondly, the economic development bill included a number of capital items that we think are going to be helpful in producing more housing. Some neighborhood stabilization money to return blighted or vacant units back to productive use, more money for transit-oriented housing development and climate-resilient affordable housing. And of course, I'm happy to see the state low-income housing tax credit expanded as part of that bill as well. So more resources for Kate and team to put to work and get more housing developed. I do want to touch briefly on Commonwealth Builder, which you probably saw some press on that one in January, but it is a program to address the racial home ownership gap in Massachusetts. It's the largest state level program of its kind in the nation, and I encourage developers to consult with our friends at Mass Housing on that one. And then finally, the recent round of the MassWorks infrastructure grants announced back in November. This is one of the largest tools in the economic development toolbox. It was $68 million in grants to 36 projects. And we think that will result in about 3,500 new housing units. And so kind of a long way of saying the efforts here continue. They really have been, I think, very determined from the start of the administration in terms of getting more housing produced and using the tools in our toolbox to do so. And thanks to all for your collaboration on those items. We're looking forward to putting these tools to use now in the coming months and years. With that, I'll hit the top line in terms of the announcement today, but I'm so pleased to publicly announce the 2020 Affordable Housing Mini Rental Round Awards through a combination of $15 million in tax credits, $46 million in direct subsidies. These 12 projects will bring a total of 572 rental units online. The vast majority of those are affordable. More than 100 are affordable to those with extremely low incomes. All these projects have come through the DHCD one-stop application at least once. I'm sure all face their particular hurdles at the local level to get done, and grateful for the determination and focus it always takes to get these projects done. We're so grateful to all of you for your commitment to our residents to get more housing developed, and for your dedication to working with your communities. So with that, I think I turn it back to Jennifer, but wonderful to be with you all today to celebrate another important milestone in our journey here to get more housing produced.
Thank you, Secretary Kennealy, for your remarks. I'm excited to announce today's awardees, even though I know you already know. So we're going to pull up a PowerPoint. Great, excellent. And so we have the residences at Kelly's Corner in Acton from Common Ground Development, 37 Union Street in Attleboro from E3 Development, 1599 Columbus Ave on the JP Roxbury from Urban Edge, you will hear from today, 2147 Washington in Roxbury from New Atlantic and the Dream Collaborative, 9 Leland Street in Boston from the Dorchester Bay Economic Development Corporation, Dudley Crossing in Roxbury from Nuestra Comunidad, Morton Street Village in Mattapan from Caribbean Integration Community Development, 1005 Broadway in Chelsea from Tragworth Companies, who will also hear from later, 910 Main Street in Great Barrington from the Community Development Corporation in South Berkshire, the Lighthouses in Salem from the North Shore Community Development Coalition, the Union Block in Taunton from Neighborhood of Affordable Housing, Woodland Cove Phase 1 in Wareham from Dakota Partners. Congratulations to all of our partners, and we look forward to celebrating the milestones along the way. I'd like now to introduce Chelsea City Manager Tom Ambrosino. Thank you for joining us today and giving a few remarks.
Well, thank you very much, Undersecretary. I really just want to thank you and Secretary Kennealy and really the entire Baker administration for this tremendous commitment to affordable housing. You know, even before COVID, we had a serious housing crisis in Chelsea and in this whole region, and COVID has simply made that problem immeasurably worse by threatening the economic stability of so many housing situations. And the lack of a sufficient inventory of affordable units just exacerbates the problem. So that's why it's so essential that we prioritize and aggressively fund these affordable projects if we're going to try to make a dent in the problem. The Chelsea project that you're funding by Tregorth, that really is going to make a big difference in Chelsea, 38 units with 8 reserved for those at extremely low income. That's going to be very helpful. This development is of particular interest to us because it's going to take shape on this highly visible vacant parcel, a parcel that's been vacant for a long time, right at the entryway to the city from the North Shore. So we're really looking forward to the revitalization of this gateway area with this wonderful affordable housing project. And of course, it wouldn't be possible without this financial support from the Commonwealth and the Baker administration. So again, I'm very grateful. I thank the administration, and I can't wait for the groundbreaking.
Excellent. Thank you, City Manager. I'd like to invite Chris Remble, the Assistant Town Manager of Great Barrington, to speak. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us.
Thank you, Undersecretary and Secretary Kennealy. On behalf of the town of Great Barrington, I'm really pleased to congratulate the CDC of South Berkshire. This is a really important achievement and a gigantic step towards meeting our housing goals. You know, we all know creating affordable housing is very difficult. You know, it takes vision and dedication, as the Secretary noted. And with that in mind, I especially want to recognize the work of current and past CDC board members and staff, and particularly former Executive Director Tim Geller, who shepherded this project at 910 Main Street through the land acquisition, the design, the permitting, and funding stages. So Tim and his colleagues really have these units permitted and shovel ready, and we can't wait. So for a small town, these 49 units are a good number of housing units, and this comes at a critical time. The market is skyrocketing. We need these units more than ever. We need safe and healthy homes that are affordable for our essential workers and our families. So, and we're pleased too, because the town was an early permitting and funding partner on this project. This is a 40R smart growth zone. We committed nearly $500,000 of CPA funding towards pre-development. So we're especially gratified today. And so congratulations and thank you to the CDC of South Berkshire, and a big thank you to you all and to the Baker-Polito administration. Your continued support of towns, of municipalities, as we work together to build new housing, especially affordable housing in smart growth locations. It's really tremendous and it means a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. I now would like to invite Emilio Doselli, the CEO of Urban Edge, to join us for a few words.
I think you're on mute there, Emilio.
Yes, the Zoom world.
There you go.
But as I was saying, I just wanted to thank you, Undersecretary Maddox, and also wanted to thank Secretary Kennealy for not only hosting today, but for all the work that you do every day that makes our work possible here at Urban Edge. But I also want to congratulate all of my colleagues for all of the wonderful work and for receiving funding today. I think each one of us is really going to make a huge impact in the individual communities that we work in. But again, none of this would be possible without all of the work that the Baker administration does and DHCD does. And so I know from my interactions with the staff, they've been incredibly helpful and supportive in helping us manage the process and making sure that we have a project that not only is going to produce affordable housing, but actually is going to work financially. One of the things that really I'm excited about is that the Commonwealth's funding was the last funding that we needed in order to make this project a reality. And we're definitely excited and looking forward to the groundbreaking. And when we think about 1599 Columbus, at the end of the day, what it really means is that 65 families will have a safe and affordable place to live. With a significant number of the units are going to be below 30% AMI. And that's incredible in this day and age when you think about all that's going on. Earlier, the Secretary talked about COVID-19 and some of the challenges that I think we're having. I think more now than ever, the ability for very low income families to be able to have access to affordable housing is critical. And we're happy to be able to play a small role in that. But when I think about 1599 Columbus, it goes beyond the bricks and mortar. For example, each one of the families that live in Urban Edge housing will have access to a community engagement officer that's certified as a health worker and a financial coach to make sure that we can provide them with the support and the training and resources that they need. And then when they're ready, we also have a long history of being first-time home buying training staff, and we've created over 2,100 home buyers over the past decade or so. And so we're not only thinking about helping them become renters in affordable housing, but we're also thinking about the next step. And so when we think about the work we do, we look at it as a continuum. And so, but none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for the funding that we received. And I just want to make sure that finally, that I think some of the other funding sources that made all of this possible. Obviously, without the City of Boston's D&D and the Neighborhood Trust and the Life Initiative, we also wouldn't have been able to make this project. So on behalf of the staff, the board, I just want to say thank you for all that you guys do.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Emilio, for joining us here today. I'd like to now invite Dan Tregorth to speak before Secretary Kennealy closes us out.
Thank you, Undersecretary. Thank you, Secretary Kennealy, and City Manager Ambrosino, along with the neighborhood developers, our project partner. Really excited to be at this milestone. I also, like Emilio, want to acknowledge the Life Initiative, which helped us purchase this property, and the North Suburban Consortium as well, who've gotten us to this point. We really started thinking about our project all the way back in 2013. Something we probably don't talk a lot about is how long these projects take to develop. And the city has been a really important partner of ours throughout this entire time because Town Manager Ambrosino has been just a tremendous advocate for these 38 units since the beginning. And it was critically important through some pretty tough times to get this done. But it is replacing a vacant Brownsfield site. It's going to be a fabulous new gateway between Revere and Chelsea. And also really importantly, it'll open up the Mill Creek to Chelsea residents. And we worked with Green Roots and Mystic River Watershed Association with Mass DEP through the whole Chapter 91 process to figure out how we can make sort of an abandoned creek into something that's going to be so much more. And we're really excited to contribute to that. The other piece of this that's really cool is this is going to be the first passive house certified building in Chelsea. And we thank DHCD's sort of commitment to energy performance, and we're excited to show what these buildings can do. So we're ready to get to work. We're going to be out there digging this spring and ready to create some construction jobs, and look forward to being in person for that ribbon cutting in 2022. So thank you all so much.
Wonderful, very exciting. Thank you, Dave. I'm going to turn it now back to Secretary to close the program.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. Let me just close with a few things. First, I want to thank and acknowledge some of our colleagues in the legislature that have joined us here today. And I hope I get everybody. If I didn't, I apologize. But Senator Mark Pacheco, Senator Sal DiDomenico, Senator Joan Lovely, Rep. Jim Hawkins, and Representative Giannino. And again, I hope I got everybody, and just always grateful for our partnership with the legislature. That economic development bill that was passed, including the housing choice provisions, is just so essential to our housing strategy, and deeply grateful to the legislature for getting that one done. Kind of a closing thought here. It was really fun to see the map of where these projects are and realize that they're happening all across the state, and to see the pictures of what they're going to become. And it made me think back to a couple of years ago. Kate Racer took me on a tour of affordable housing across the state with the Affordable Housing Tour across Massachusetts. And we did 8 days, 17 cities and towns, 28 developments. It was frankly one of the most remarkable experiences I've had in my professional life, to see the work up close. Just a wonderful experience. We were joined by, I think, about 1,000 people along the way. And we saw these amazing developments. You saw housing for seniors, for veterans, for the formerly homeless. We saw incredible developments in downtowns near public transit. And there were a few conclusions to me out of that work, seeing the work. One is just how important these projects are for their communities. And these really become real community assets and treasures. The second was the level of collaboration it takes to get these done between developers, state government, local government, our quasi-agencies, other financing sources. This is truly a team sport, and it requires determination and collaboration to get this work done. And third was just the impact these developments have on the residents they serve. As Emilio has said, it's not just about the bricks and mortar, it's about the services. These projects truly do change people's lives. They're incredibly important projects. So it is always inspiring to see the work, whether it's in person up close, or to understand today, through today's forum, what these projects will be when they come to life. So it is wonderful to be with you all today. I hope we'll see you all in person at some point, and thank you and congratulations for all you do.